Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your Friday night show on the United Stand, which is always a special show, and we've got quite a lot to get into on the show tonight, let's be honest with you, because it is understood that an agency was at Carrington today. The club have not denied this, and it's very, very interesting who that agency actually represents and why they would be at Carrington. Yes, most of our players are represented by agencies, but no, it's not usual for an agency to be attending Carrington on any random day. We'll talk about that. Yes, it has something to do with Jadon Sancho. Also, we'll be talking about INEOS and the fact that they will not be spending big at Manchester United, why that might be logical, but also why they could spend big if they wanted to. We'll also be talking about something else I've completely... Oh, Fabrizio's spoken today about the players that we've been talking to. Potentially good news around Guirassy, I think so. And also got a few quotes from Erik ten Hag to talk about as well. Triple mark, it's truly Christmas. Well, it is truly Christmas because I've had a bit too many of these again. It's just a week for it, isn't it? You know, too many Ribenas. Lovely stuff. Anyway, let's get into the show. Lots to talk about. And also, just for a bit of fun, ask me anything. I'll answer it. I'm in that sort of mood. Ask me anything, Bridge. But before we get into that, this is what I want to talk about. Exclusive news. We got this afternoon. It's understood representation from the Elite Project Group were present at Carrington today. There's speculation suggesting that the purpose of their visit may be related to Jadon Sancho. So the Elite Project Group represents footballers. Their most prestigious player would be Saka. We're not signing him. Lavia has just signed for Chelsea. Nketiah, you're having a fucking laugh. Balogun, no way. Bino Gittins, can't see that, from Dortmund. Iwobi, get out. And then Sancho is probably their next best player. So I don't think there is any logical reason why the Elite Project Group would be attending Carrington today unless it was for talks about Jadon Sancho. We're looking at a striker. Are we looking at Nketiah? I very much doubt it. So for me, I think it's... Get out, Iwobi. You know what? If we are signing Nketiah, I'm fucking leaving. I'm fucking leaving. But on a serious note, it's not usual for an agency to be attending Carrington. Carrington is for training. Carrington is not for agents to attend unless something serious is going down. Now, which way do you want to leap on this? Do you want to leap that they weren't there? Do you want to leap that it's about Sancho? Or do you want to leap that it's about Nketiah? Because personally, I think they were there. And I think they were there to discuss Sancho. So, quite a significant meeting today. Man United have not denied this at all. They've not said it hasn't happened. And they could easily say that. But the point here is, I think that the thumbnail says the end. Sancho exit meeting. Well, it's one of two things for me. It's either a discussion about him leaving the club, or it's a discussion about him apologising. What would you feel about it if it was an apology? I'm not going to tell you what to think. It's up to you. Nick, welcome to the Members Club. Get the badge in. Thank you very much. The badge is because you're now a member, like Joe Tommy, who says, Susan, that's nice. Don't know what he's doing. What are you doing with Susan, Joe? Bloody hell. But Susan says, welcome to Nick. So she's welcome. Yeah, okay. Anyway, look, it's interesting. It's exclusive news. And the Elite Project Group were at Carrington today. And nobody's denied that was the case. My suspicions, and this is purely speculation, this is Jadon Sancho's representatives meeting with Manchester United to discuss an exit strategy out of Manchester United in January in detail. Probably talking about options, because any decent agency on the 29th of December, when their client has not played for Manchester United since September, will have been spending the last 2 months not playing Fortnite, but actually making phone calls about clubs who might want Jadon Sancho. And I suspect that today was the conversation with Manchester United to say, these are the options on the table and these are the options we would like. And United may well say, well, we've got these options on the table and we like them. And it's about, Man United might say Saudi Arabia will take him. We'd love to sell him. I'm sure Sancho probably says no. Sancho probably says, we'd like to go on loan to Newcastle. Man United say no. And I think what will happen is we'll meet in the middle with a loan deal to a European club. That's what I think is going to happen. But look, some people, I spoke to some people today and they said, look, it could be an apology. I don't think so. I don't think it's an apology. I really don't. And I think Ten Hag at this stage would look weak. I think there was almost a time to apologise where it would have been genuine. And if you apologise now, it's because you don't mean it. It's because you're doing it because you're out of options or something like that. So I think the United, I think that this needs to be the end of Jadon Sancho at Manchester United and a pathway to that. Cantona, thank you very much and welcome to the Members Club. Look, I don't speak for any United fan. I speak for myself. I don't speak. That's not what this is about. My opinion means nothing more than anybody else's. But I've spoken to a lot of United fans, specifically when we had the show in Manchester. All different ages, and you know, some really hardcore match-going United fans. I'll never cheer Sancho again. So look, I think it's the end of Sancho. Decky says, could we do a poll? I don't know what poll we're doing, so I'm going freestyle here. Should Sancho leave? Yes or no? We'll just go freestyle with that one. But look, interesting, exclusive. His agency was at Carrington today. That is the big story. It's not been denied by anybody. And yes, that agency could be there because United is interested in a player that plays for that agency. When you go through the list, it doesn't make any sense. Who is a better free kick taker, Ronaldo or Beckham? To Stephen. Beckham, 100% every single day of the week. Look, that's the Sancho story. It's exclusive. I'd normally talk about it for longer, but life's too short. I want to talk about the INEOS deal with Manchester United. I was listening to Sky Sports today, and I think it was Darmesh was on, saying that anybody who thinks Manchester United are suddenly going to start spending money like Chelsea is sadly mistaken. Financial fair play is still very much an issue at Manchester United. INEOS want to run a review. They're not going to come in and start spending 500 million or £1 billion at Manchester United. And I think we do need to accept that. Now, what I would say is, if Qatar bought the club, we would be spending that money. So why can't we do it under Sir Jim's 25%? I think we need to be very careful here. The reality is this is the only future we've got, and we've got to be hopeful. And I've said that to you many times. We've got to be realistic and we've got to be hopeful. But Todd Boehly took over Chelsea and spent £1 billion in 12 months. If Qatar had bought Man United, they'd spend a hell of a lot of money in the next 12 months. So how can Todd Boehly do it? How can Qatar do it? But INEOS can't do it. And I've noticed this a lot in the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of news outlets saying, yeah, well, INEOS can't spend a lot of money because they've still got to be wary of financial fair play. And to that, I sort of do say bollocks. I really do, because how have Chelsea done it? And how were Qatar going to do it? And the honest answer is this. Qatar were going to clear the debt and they were going to fuck off all the big wages and get rid of people to bring that down to make you be able to spend more money. Now, INEOS can't do that because they only own 25% of the club and the Glazers own the rest. And the Glazers will not pay off Harry Maguire. They will not pay off Anthony Martial. They will not pay off players. So INEOS are not going to come into this football club under Sir Jim Ratcliffe and start spending big amounts of money on transfers. It's not going to happen. You know, if I'm wrong on that, I'll admit it. But it's not going to happen because we're still owned by the Glazers. It can happen. I wouldn't fall into the trap of saying no owner could come in and do that, because that's bollocks. We've seen it happen and we know how it can happen. But it's not going to happen. This INEOS ownership is not going to come in and start spending money like Chelsea have spent in the first 12 months. Because one, they'd have to spend their own money. Two, the Glazers own the football club. And that's why it won't happen. It can happen. It can happen. If United had had a full sale and the Glazers had pissed off and the new owners had cleared the debt and cleared the shit, you'd reduce the wage bill, the gap from FFP and revenue would come down and you would be able to spend the money. But that's not going to happen. And I still think there are some Man United fans out there that are labouring under this misapprehension that we might go out there and spend a load of money, and it won't happen. We might spend 100, we might spend 150, but we're not going to go and spend ridiculous amounts of money. Thank you for making more in-depth Man United news. As someone from North Dakota, USA, it makes a lot easier to know what's going on, says Zimmerly. Well, you're very welcome on the show. AJ says, Mark, what player in United's history made the biggest impact for the club, and what player would we get in January to make the biggest impact, says AJ. Well, Sir Bobby's got to be the biggest impact in our history. And what player could we get in January to make the biggest impact? AJ, I don't think we're signing anyone in January that's going to make a big impact. I don't think we're signing those sort of players. I think in January you buy a player that's going to be one for the future or a stopgap. I don't think there's any influential player we're going to bring in. Hi, Mark. Part of the problem is the Glazers shared the books with UEFA and got input, so we are now stuck as the only club fully complying, says Carl. And rank Scholes, Gerrard and Lampard. No, Dara, I'm not doing it. Sorry. I'm not doing it. It's a Friday night and you're asking me, like, what do I prefer, gravy, water or bloody cabbage? I mean, I'm better than that. You're better than that. I'm not interested in Scholes, Gerrard or Lampard. I'm going to bed. Good night. I'm not answering that. I'm not interested in that. Scholes, Gerrard or Lampard. Oh my God. Rubbish question. Why would Sir Jim spend big though, says Sean Turner. He only owns 17% of the club. They're the only shares that matter. The Glazers can buy him out in 3 years. It's in the contract. It makes no sense for Sir Jim, says Sean. No, look, all I'm saying, Sean, is that there are people out there that think INEOS are going to throw a load of money at the football club, and they won't. For many legitimate reasons, they won't do it. It's not going to happen. So I sit here, like many of you, intrigued, concerned, optimistic, hopeful, scared about the future of Manchester United, because I don't see why they're going to spend any big money. I don't see it at all. What's the United's best transfer window ever, says George? Don't know. Let the chat decide. Let the chat decide about that. Talking about January transfer window, though, you might have heard it from Fabrizio today. To be honest with you, it's a little bit of slow sports news because we spoke about this with Fabrizio last week. Basically, what Fabrizio has said today is that Man United have spoken to the agents of Guirassy, Malen and Werner. And the most likely of the three seems to be Malen. Guirassy is not a priority. Werner, it's not certain he's going to leave Leipzig. And Malen, they're monitoring the situation. Man United never go and do something on January the 1st. We do it on January the 31st. So I don't think we're in a position where we're going to do anything on January the 1st or anything in the first 2 weeks, if I'm being honest. It doesn't feel like there's anything going on. And we already know that this current regime, because it's not a Sir Jim Ratcliffe regime yet, the John Murtough regime takes ages. Absolutely ages. You know, if you asked John Murtough to do you a runny boiled egg, about 5 minutes, boiling water, if you want a little bit of a Goldbridge tip. With John Murtough, you ain't getting a runny egg. He's going to leave it in there for 20 minutes. It's going to be hard inside. So, look, we ain't getting anything done quickly because it's not the Murtough way. And I suspect we will just monitor the situation right up until January the 31st. Hi, Mark. Just wanted to say thank you. My life could have sounded like an X Factor story the way it's been. Just wanted to say thank you to everyone on United Stand for everything. Sorry for being too deep, says Sam. That's absolutely fine, Sam. I hope you're doing well. And Mark, says Keenan, my 8-year-old son asked that question about Scholes. He's now crying. He didn't realise you had a lad. Okay, I don't know what that means, Keenan, but I'm not going to read the less. Look, in the Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard debate, Paul Scholes wins. But I can't be asked to talk about it because it's one of the most weird obsessions that seems to follow football year after year. And I also, Ali's right. I did say ask anything, which you're more than willing to do. You're more than capable of doing. Mirrored says, what, and he's a member as well. Hope you're well, I am. Realistically, what do you think, where will United finish this season? 5th. And Kicking It with Cade says, will Sir Jim give any dollars for January window, or is it all going towards Old Trafford? We really need a number 8. Boxing Day showed we missed Ericsson. Look, I can only predict. I don't have the detail. I don't have the facts. There are, Glazer mouthpieces out there that make out this is going to be the best deal ever. There are realists out there that are very confused. I think that we don't have the money that Villa have got. We don't have the money Spurs have got. We don't have the money Arsenal have got. We don't have the money Liverpool have got. We certainly don't have the money that Newcastle and Man City have got. So that's 6 clubs that have got more money than us. And I don't think INEOS changed that. If anything, INEOS are at the first stage of a leveraged takeover, which will probably take 3 to 10 years. I don't think we're going to see big transfer budgets any time in the next 3 years. I don't think the squad's anywhere near good enough until it gets rid of about 7 or 8 players. I don't think the Glazers have ever had an appetite to remove players. So I don't know what's going to happen over the next 3 years. I really do not think we're going to see a massive amount of improvement for a few years. I don't think we've got the structure with the Glazers there to make the quick changes we need. I always said if Qatar bought Man United and spent loads of money on it, I still think it will take 3 years. We're not going to spend loads of money on this, so it's going to take longer than 3 years. Mark, please do your Ollie and Ten Hag impression, says the Phantom Master. Well, Ten Hag, I don't really have an impression. It's more about talking and going, huh? I know, at the end of the day, huh? You know what I mean? Huh? I like football, huh? Do you like football? Huh? That's all I do, so I don't think that's really an impression. As for Ollie, it's just Carricky. Carricky. You're doing great at Middlesbrough. How are you doing, Carricky? We've also got an interesting quote from Ten Hag, actually. I don't know where it's come from because he didn't say it in the press conference. Ten Hag on playing transition football, counter-attack football. The qualities of our players are suitable for it, so we have to use it. Overloads, high ball regains, high pressing. You can see how good it can be when our squad is at its best. We can compete with the best. Now, transition football, you say tomato, I say tomato. You say potato, I say potato. You say transition football, I say park the bus and counter-attack. It's not as simple as that, of course, but transition football, Ten Hag has got it absolutely right. The qualities of our the quality of our players suits counter-attacking football, transition football. It doesn't suit possession football. It doesn't do it. So I think Ten Hag is speaking absolutely the truth there. Bryce, welcome to the Members Club. I don't think we're set up to play any other way than counter-attacking football. And you can put a bit of cream on it, you can polish it, you can spray a bit of perfume on it, but transition football is counter-attacking football. And the question needs to be, we may well be suited to transition football, but why are we not suited to possession football? One thing United have not been able to do for the last 7, 8, 9 years is when we're playing against a low block, be patient and keep the ball. Why can't we do that? But Liverpool can, Arsenal can, Man City can, Brighton can. Why can't we do that? Why have we accumulated a load of players that are not technically good enough to be patient on the ball? Well, I don't know. Ten Hag managed the team for 3 years that had to play against part of the bus teams every week, because that's what everyone did against Ajax. But at United, he can't do it. Bryce, welcome to the Members Club. And I think he can't do it because he hasn't got the players. Bruno Fernandez is not a possession-based player. Bruno Fernandez is a Hollywood passer. Bruno Fernandez is a transitional genius. He is not a patient number 10. Rashford is a counter-attacking forward. He is not, a deep block attacker. United are just not set up to play that brand of football, and it's scary. It's sad because we're Manchester United and we don't know how to play with the ball. Sing Bohemian Rhapsody in Sean Dyche voice, says Jay. Yeah, not doing that. I'm not a performing seal. Scouting and recruitment, and they buy players for short sales, says GDTP. And Marvin says he signed 8 players to play his style of football, says Marvin. Well, I don't know whether he signed 8 players, but Martinez is a possession-based player. Casemiro is a possession-based player because he played for Real Madrid for most of his career and you have most of the ball. Varane is not bought by Ten Hag, but is a possession-based player, but is irrelevant. Anana is a possession-based player. Anthony is a possession-based player. So look, most of the players he's bought are possession-based players. I think his problem is the players he inherited aren't. And more importantly, The star players he inherited aren't. If he did say that, I back him all the way, says Keel. And the players haven't been trained for the last decade, and that is why, says Shah. Look, for Manchester United to transition from a counter-attacking transitional side into a possession-based side is going to take time, and it's also going to mean selling certain players. What if Marcus Rashford or Bruno Fernandez are never going to be possession-based players? What do you do then? It's a great point. What do you do? Ricardo says, I see you as a father figure. Interesting. Why did the British media not pick up the story of a bunch of Premier clubs writing the league in opposition of this INEOS 25% deal? I didn't know that they had, Chris. I tell you what I have seen, though. Maybe it's not a story for the United stand. Maybe it's more Goldbridge Saves Football podcast. Please do give it a listen. Or maybe it's more a That's Football story. But there is a rumour going around today that Premier League footballers are going to preparing a law case against the authorities for how much football they're having to play, which I actually applaud. I do. I think they are having to play too much football. I think if Bruno wasn't the captain and didn't have to run all the time and just focus on his job, he could be one of the best players in the league. It's sad we don't get the most out of our players, says Shahin. Carlos says Ericsson and Mainu are possession masters. And Daily Hibbert says, Mark, I know there's a lot of people saying that the Glazers are getting the better deal with Sir Jim. Surely someone as successful as Sir Jim will have a better business mind. No, Daily, I disagree with this. I disagree with this. I think there is a myth. Well, it's not a myth, because a myth isn't true. I think there is a theory. Martin, welcome to the Members Club. You're a legend. Get the badge in. There is a theory that Sir Jim is an amazing businessman and he wouldn't do a deal with the Glazers that left him in a weak position. And that's a fine theory to have. But the other side to that coin is Sir Jim Ratcliffe is so desperate to get hold of some part of Man United that he will take what he can get. He wanted 100%, the Glazers said no. He wanted 70%, the Glazers said no. He wanted 50%, the Glazers said no. The Glazers said 25% and he took it. You can be a great businessman, but if you want something, maybe you just take what you can get. We're not going to know the extent of this deal for a very long time. And you can predict and guess what you like, but it is guesswork. How many of Pep's players were possession-based players before he coached them? They are professional footballers. They should be able to hold the ball. Bollocks, Alex. Sorry, Alex. I think you're talking absolute shite. Because what you're basically saying is it's about coaching. And if it was about coaching, then Pep Guardiola wouldn't have needed 3 goalkeepers before he got to Ederson. He wouldn't have needed 2 right-backs before he got to Kyle Walker. He wouldn't need to spend £100 million on Jack Grealish. He wouldn't need to spend massive money on Erling Haaland. If Pep Guardiola was such a great coach, he could just buy Stoke players and make them possession-based players. And that's why your theory's wrong. You can't polish a turd. And you can't coach players to be something they're not. You can't go and buy Peter Crouch and turn him into Erling Haaland. You can't. It's not possible. You can't turn Scott McTominay into Zinedine Zidane, no matter how good you are. This, it's like IQ. Some people are clever, some people aren't. Pep Guardiola is a very good coach, but you can't just coach people into being possession-based players. Otherwise, Pep wouldn't need a checkbook. He'd go, don't worry about it, give the money to charity, I can coach anyone. You can't. You need to have the players. People didn't have an issue when Ferguson played counter-attack with Rooney, Tevez or Ronaldo. Why is there an issue with it now? Well, we didn't play counter-attacking football every week, Eduardo. Maybe you want to go and educate yourself on the late noughties under Sir Alex Ferguson. In Europe, he had a plan that worked quite well, especially away from home, where we'd be very well structured and we'd counter-attack. And sometimes we'd do it against Arsenal and Chelsea. But for the vast majority of the time, we used to overload the penalty box. We'd get down the flanks. We'd overlap. We'd play a high line. Sir Alex Ferguson wasn't a one-way street. Far from it. Educate yourself. And Sean Turner says, I disagree with you. No way Onana and Anthony are possession-based players. I ain't having it. Well, maybe watch Ajax with Anthony. They had 80% possession. Maybe watch Onana in that Champions League final, and when he was at Ajax, he was a ball-playing goalkeeper. That's possession, mate. That's what I'm talking about. Also, if Bruno becomes available, Bayern, PSG, Madrid, Barca would all want him. All possession-based teams, he would start for them all. Sean, I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't disagree, but I don't agree. Because I haven't seen any evidence that Bruno Fernandez could play in the final third for 10 minutes, passing it around. Could you imagine Bruno Fernandez playing for Man City against Brentford at Brentford's ground? Brentford are parking the bus. Man City are probing for 5 minutes on the edge of the box, pass and move, all around the edge of the box, waiting for that moment. They give it to Bruno. Bruno just goes, don't worry, lads. I'm just going to keep this ball and pass it to Kyle Walker, and I'm going to get it back, and I'm going to go back to Stones. I'll give it me back. Oh, I'll give it to Foden. Give it me back. No way. Bruno's going to get the ball from Kyle Walker and shoot or try a Hollywood pass. Bruno is not a patient, possession-based player. We've seen no evidence of that. That's not what Bruno is. Bruno is the #1 chance creator in the Premier League in the last few years. He is not a patient number 10 who will wait for an opportunity. We all know that. He's not that player. Or we certainly haven't seen the evidence of it. Jack, the Lego Maniac, thank you very much for being a member for 52 months. You're an absolute legend. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. Bruno is a direct player. That's what Marvin says, and he's right. Bruno does it for Portugal. No, he doesn't, Trevor. Educate yourself. Portugal do not play possession-based football. They've just had the Portuguese Gareth Southgate for about 50 years in charge, and now they've got Martinez. They are not a possession-based team. Sean is talking crap, says Terp, and if he doesn't have the... No, Sean is not talking crap. Sean talks a lot of sense, but I don't think Bruno Fernandez could ever be described as a possession-based player. And I think this is where people get overly defensive because, you know, there are fantastic players out there. Marcus Rashford is a fantastic player when he plays well, but he is not very good against the low block. He's almost redundant. Bruno Fernandez is a fantastic player, but he's not very good in a team that wants to probe and be patient because that's not his attribute. Kyle Walker without pace is in the Championship, but with pace, he's one of the best right-backs in Europe. Every player has their parameters and their skills. Otherwise, you end up being Ronaldo, Messi, Zidane, Ronaldinho. You end up being a GOAT of the game if you can do it all. Sammy, welcome to the Members Club. Ali says that Pep does improve players. The time Rodri was at Atletico Madrid, he is not this type of player now. No, look, you're not listening to me. Pep Guardiola is a great coach, and he can take players like Jurgen Klopp, can take players who are good to top class or world class. But Pep Guardiola cannot just walk into Brentford and make them win the league. That's what I'm saying. Some people think that it's all about the coach. You can't coach players who don't have the ability. If I was the best possession-based coach in the world, I can't make Scott McTominay be Kevin De Bruyne. I can't make I can't make Marcus Rashford be Lionel Messi. I can't make Bruno Fernandez be Zinedine Zidane. I can't do it. It doesn't matter how good a coach I am. I can't make Onana be Manuel Neuer. I can't do it. It's impossible. And if I could do it, then everyone would do it. The bottom line is, if every football club was Man City, they wouldn't all be brilliant because there's not enough talent out there. There is a limit on how many good players there are out there, and the job of Real Madrid or Manchester United or Bayern Munich is to accumulate as many of the world's best players as you can, because you know there isn't an infinite amount of them. That's what your job is, and then to coach them to make them better. But you can't just grab Preston North End's midfield and say this is going to be as good as Iniesta and Xavi because I'm a good coach. That's just not how it works. Otherwise, everyone would do it. Mark, could we go for Mbappe for free? Only wages need to be paid, no transfer fee, says Arav. No, we're not that football club. Butch says the easy answer is Rashford and Bruno need to go, and the sooner the better. Well, I wouldn't subscribe to that view, but if you want to play a certain brand of football and you want to revolutionise the club, I don't think any option should be off the table. I really don't. I've got to be honest with you. I didn't say this at the start of the show. It's very naughty of me, but I am not doing a full hour. I've just realised I've got to go in 3 minutes. You've got me for 3 more minutes, so get your questions in. It's a shorter Friday night show because of the Christmas period. In fact, I wasn't even meant to do a show, but I did because there was some good news. So you've still got me for 3 minutes. We've got to watch along tomorrow, of course. Don't worry about that. Chris says, "What are you waffling on about? Why is your username Chris and Phil?" I'm intrigued. Are you married? Brothers? Lovers? I don't know. No way people want Fernandez out, says Cock. I don't. And our future offensive is Rasmus, Garnacho, and hopefully Ahmad. Well, Ahmad's back. Ahmad's back. Hopefully he'll be on the bench. Hopefully he will be on the bench. Love the United Stand Friday show, says Linda. Linda, I know you do. And this is especially for you. It's like lighting a lighter. There we go. That's for Linda. She loves it. She loves that noise. What's the watch along tomorrow? Says Chris. Not Manchester United against Nottingham Forest. Yeah. These players can't do football basic, right? Isn't that Erik ten Hag's fault? No. No. You're naively trying to pin the last 10 years onto a manager that's been here for 18 months. Manchester United are in problems because they need a clear out. They need a review. They need strong leadership. If I was Sir Jim Radcliffe, I'd be very happy because I'm a billionaire and I could do what I want. Are we going to win tomorrow? Yes, we are, Chris. I can't wait for it. If I was Sir Jim Radcliffe, I would kick some ass. I would absolutely love it. I'd walk in like a boss and I'd be like, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. I'm in charge here now. Tell your agent to shut up. Stop emailing me. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care how much you earn. I don't care how many Twitter followers you've got. I'm in charge. And all I give a shit about is making this club great again. And that's it. And whether you're Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandez, or Scott McTominay, you're all equals now. And I tell you what, you're all on thin ice. And what I say goes. And it could be you. I don't care if you think you're more powerful. I don't care how much your money on. Let's see how powerful you are when you're in the bloody reserves. You'll soon be shitting yourself then. Oh, I don't mind. I'll play FIFA at home and drive around in my Ferrari. Will you? You won't be going to the Euros. You won't be going to the World Cup. You know, no one's going to be interested in your tweets when you're scoring in the reserves. I'm in charge now. Let's have it. Saddam Goldbridge says ping. I mean, that's too far. That's too far. But that is exactly what we need to happen at United. You need somebody to come in and go, I don't care who you are or where you're from. From now on, I'm in charge. In the words of Princess Leia, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. And that's what needs to happen at Manchester United. I'm the captain of this ship, and nobody is going down unless I say so. And that's not in a sexual way. I'm in charge of this ship, and we're not going to hit an iceberg. We're going to make it to New York. The concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Look, I'm sorry, I've got to go. I mean, I really sort of feel I'm in a mood, in a groove, but I'm going to be in massive trouble if I don't. So you're all legends. I still think it's been a great show. We've got to watch along tomorrow night. It's going to be a cracker, and I'll speak to you later. Take care, everyone. Enjoy what you're doing. Legends. Thanks for watching.